Guardiola and Manchester City will face an old nemesis in the playoff round of the Champions League. Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. Today's video is going to centre around the big Champions League playoff draw that was made earlier on today. 16 teams have entered the playoff round for a chance to play in the round of 16 stage of the competition, and obviously European football's biggest club competitions, newest format. The league phase draw concluded on Wednesday night in epic fashion, and the 16 teams that have made it into the playoffs will all battle it out for a chance to make it into the round of 16 stage, in which 8 teams already await to see who they will face. The biggest round of the biggest tie that this draw has thrown up, should I say, is that of Manchester City taking on Real Madrid. Pep Guardiola will once again go face to face against Carlo Ancelotti and Real Madrid, of course. We know the history there of Barcelona and Pep Guardiola against Real Madrid. So this is going to be epic. That has stole the spotlight, but there are other games as well that I'm going to be making for interesting viewing that will obviously set up big ties for the round of 16 stage when we get around to it. We're going to be talking about the draw. We're going to be talking about the games that are coming up, giving my predictions on how I think each and every single game will go. But before we go any further discussing all of that and much more, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. And also I want to get you involved in the comment section. Talk to me, people. Use and abuse that comment section with your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, about the Champions League, the new format, the games that are coming up in the playoff stages to the knockouts. I'd love to know what you guys have to say on all of that stuff and much more. So please do get involved down below. And without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's talk the Champions League playoff draw that was made earlier on today. I made a video yesterday on the Champions League new format. I think it's very exciting. I think it's very interesting. And of course, I've enjoyed the Champions League so far. I know it's been a bit controversial. I know not everybody's been a big fan of it. But I think it has really improved the group stage / league phase stage of the competition. And now you've got a scenario where where 8 teams have qualified for the round of 16. They are sailing through to the knockout stages, and the 16 other teams that finish below them are now going to be battling it out to join them in that round of 16 stage. They've been split into the silver half and the blue half of the draw, as was made extensively clear by everybody involved. We go through the usual rigmarole of, explaining and over-explaining and explaining again how the draw was going to work. But it has thrown up some very interesting ties. We've already talked about one a little bit. We'll get onto that a little bit later. But the other ties that are coming up in this Champions League playoff round are an all-French tie between Brest and PSG. We have Monaco taking on Benfica in the other half of the draw. Those teams are linked with Liverpool and Barcelona. So the winners of those two ties will face one of Barcelona or Liverpool, depending on how the draw goes once all of this is played out. So Liverpool will either be facing one of a French side in Brest or PSG, and they could be facing another French side on the other half of Monaco or Portuguese side Benfica. Moving on, we've got Club Brugge against Atalanta, and we've got Sporting against Dortmund. So they are linked with Aston Villa and Lille. That could be actually really favourable for a side like Aston Villa. Could even be favourable for Lille, in all honesty. They've been performing very, very well this season, both domestically and in Europe, of course. So either of those 4 sides will either be facing Unai Emery's Aston Villa or French side Lille. Then you've got the big one, Manchester City taking on Real Madrid. And then, of course, on the other half of the draw, you've got Celtic against Bayern Munich. So it's always going to be a tough draw for Manchester City. They were either going to be facing one of Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. So it's always going to be tough for Pep Guardiola's side. And, of course, there's history on both sides of those, whichever way around the draw went. of course, with him being, Pep Guardiola being a former Bayern Munich coach and manager, of course. And they are going to be linked with Atletico Madrid or Leverkusen. So it could be a Real Madrid versus Atletico, an all-Madrid derby in the round of 16 stage if they get through. It could be a City-Atletico game. It could be a City-Leverkusen game, which would be interesting for, obviously, Xabi Alonso to meet his former manager again on a managerial stage. And then, of course, on the other side of things, you've got Celtic could take on Leverkusen if they manage to somehow get past Vincent Kompany's Bayern Munich, or Celtic against Atletico Madrid, or Bayern Munich will be taking on Leverkusen in an old German tie, or they could be taking on Spanish side Atletico. So very interesting there, depending on how those games work out. And then in the final the final quarter, I can't even do maths there. You've got Juventus taking on PSV, and you've got Feyenoord against AC Milan, and they will be joined by one of either Arsenal or Inter in the round of 16 stage. So Mikel Arteta's Arsenal could either be facing one of Juventus or PSV, or if they're in the other half of the draw, they could be facing off with Feyenoord or AC Milan, whilst Inter will get the other side of the draw. And obviously the big tie there potentially for Inter could be an all-Milan derby in the round of 16 stage. Or they could face fellow Italian club Juventus, which would be still big in itself. Not that the other games that are options there aren't big, it's just that obviously those are the mouth-watering ties that stand out as potential for Inter Milan in that one, as of course with Arsenal as well. Massive games. Massive game makes it even more intriguing, and of course the teams that are awaiting them in the round of 16 stage have a bit of insight into who they'll be facing without knowing fully who they will be facing. So which way do I think the ties will go? Well, Brest PSG, as much as I would love to see Brest advance and obviously knock out PSG, and obviously it would be nice for someone different, Brest being Champions League debutants, of course, this season. It would be great to see them progress as far as what the competition will allow them to. I can't see PSG failing that one. I can't see PSG falling at that hurdle. So they'll be going on to face one of Liverpool or Barcelona, I believe, in the round of 16 stage. Monaco-Benfica could be a very interesting one. You probably would back Benfica, in all honesty, but Monaco are no pushovers, of course. Benfica, not as tough as tough as what they have been in previous years. May not be to the same level as they have been in previous years, but are still a very tricky side to navigate past. I would expect Benfica to make it through, and will be facing the other side of either Barcelona or Liverpool. The second stage, we've got Club Brugge against Atalanta. I would suspect Atalanta go through. They are a very tough opposition to break down. We know that obviously they can be a threat going forward. We know that in Europe in previous years they've been a thorn in a lot of teams' sides. So I would strongly suspect Atalanta to go through and face one of Lille or Aston Villa. And then on the other half, you've got Sporting against Dortmund. This could be a very underrated tie, in all honesty. We know that both sides have struggled in recent weeks. We know that obviously Dortmund haven't exactly been going as strong as we know that they can and probably should be doing domestically. Dropped into obviously the playoff spaces in the Champions League, and Sporting haven't quite hit the ground running in the aftermath of Ruben Amorim leaving and jumping ship to Manchester United from the Portuguese outfit. So that could be a very interesting battle as well. Sporting, with the threat that they have up front, could obviously spring something there. Dortmund, last year's finalists, of course. I would suspect Dortmund probably just about make it through. I would expect Dortmund to, even though they have not been exactly great this season, I would expect Dortmund to maybe make it through based on experience and recent experience alone. So I'm going with Dortmund, but that one could genuinely be any which way. Then, of course, you've got the big one. Manchester City, Real Madrid. Pep Guardiola's side have obviously been very active in this January transfer window, and it's going to be about whether or not these new signings hit the ground running. He needs them to because of how poorly the squad has been run these past few years, and obviously now it's all coming to fruition, and obviously it's becoming more and more apparent. There have been signs over the past couple of weeks that maybe City are getting back into their groove a little bit. I still think, I'm still unconvinced by it, and I still think that there are some holes in that City squad that need to be addressed. So I'm not exactly holding out too much for them. But on the flip side, Real Madrid haven't exactly been all that convincing either. And again, there have been signs over the past few weeks that both domestically and on a Champions League level that maybe they are starting to find their own groove and they're actually starting to gain a bit of momentum going forward. I think Carlo Ancelotti's side will probably win this game, in all honesty. I just think that if obviously things can continue to go the way that they are doing for Real Madrid over the course of the next several weeks, I think that Real Madrid, even despite the early form, will manage to get one over on Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. And plus, we all know what happens in a knockout situation with Real Madrid. We all know that it is ingrained in that club to rise to the occasion in these kinds of atmospheres and these kinds of moments. So Real Madrid to knock out Manchester City is what I am going with in that one. That's the big takeaway from all this. The biggest game that this draw has thrown up, in my opinion, will go in favour of Carlo Ancelotti's Real Madrid, and they will obviously take on one of Atletico or Bayer Leverkusen. And whoever gets Real Madrid will either get, whoever doesn't get Real Madrid, shall I say, in my predictions, will get either one of Celtic or Bayern Munich. And although I would like to see Celtic progress, because again, it would be knocking out another big club, it would be another upset, and I do always like an underdog story, I can't see it going any which way but Bayern Munich's way. And I know that obviously Bayern Munich, again, haven't exactly been the most convincing in the league phase of this competition, but at the same time, I would expect that with the quality of players that they have at their disposal, they will have enough to beat Celtic, and that is why they will make it to the round of 16. Penultimate game, we'll see Juventus take on PSV. I am going with again, it's a difficult one. PSV are a very difficult side to beat and break down. Juventus haven't exactly been the most convincing this season. I'm going to go for a bit of an upset here. Just to throw it out there. My gut is telling me go with PSV. My gut is telling me go with PSV. Now, that may be stupid given the fact that obviously Juventus, with their history in this competition and everything, I probably will regret that, but I fancy a bit of an upset. I'm going with the Dutch outfit of PSV, in all honesty, to get one over on Juve. And I think with the second leg being at home as well, I think if PSV can definitely get a good result in that first leg, I actually reckon Juventus could get knocked out of this competition at this stage. And then finally, Milan and Feyenoord. Again, it's an awkward one, but I would probably suspect AC Milan to get through. Even though AC Milan did struggle towards the end of their campaign, I would still back AC Milan in a knockout atmosphere to get the job done and then meet one of either their fellow Milan counterparts, Inter or Arsenal, in the round of 16 stage. So very interesting games to be thrown up by the knockout stages of this draw. The Champions League is definitely heating up as we enter the knockout phases of the competition. And the playoff draw has been made today, throwing up some very intriguing and exciting encounters, but none more so, with all due respect to everybody else, than Manchester City taking on Real Madrid. Pep Guardiola facing off against Carlo Ancelotti once again, as City and Madrid are set to do battle in the middle of February in a Champions League playoff environment. I can't wait for these games to play out, and those are just some of my predictions for the outcomes of those games. But I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the Champions League playoff draw? Who are you excited to see? What are your own predictions? I'm sure your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, will make for great interest in reading down below in that comment section. So please do get involved down there. use and abuse that comment section, people, and talk to me on all of this. Would love to hear what you have to say on all of this and much more in regards to the Champions League and the playoff draw that was made earlier on today. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up, enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Thank you all for your either continued or even brand new support to the channel. If you are brand new, welcome along to the journey and the adventure. I really do appreciate you being here, as I always do, and I always appreciate the people that are continuing their support to the channel and myself as well. Very much appreciated from you guys. Will never be taken for granted. Always be appreciated. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you very much for all the love and support. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fresh Talks video, and I will see you speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.